Hi, Nick here from Pods with Nick and James. Just a quick one before we get into this podcast. I want to say a massive thank you for the support that we've received since starting these podcasts. We thoroughly enjoy it and we look forward to creating more. If you want to have your say on any topics that we've discussed or suggest future topics, then you can do so at www.reddit.com/r/Nick and James Pods. And if you want to support us, you can do so for from as little as £1 a month, and you can do that at www.patreon.com/pods with Nick and James. Anyway, back to the podcast. Hi, and welcome back to Pods with Nick and James. My name's Nick, and this is James.
Hiya, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Yeah, things are ticking along all right.
So my topic that I chose today is the loneliness pandemic. And I say the loneliness pandemic because it's a firm belief of mine that this is a genuine thing, but there's a lot of talk that this isn't. Hopefully, by the end of the podcast, people will be educated enough in such a way that they see it as it is. What's your thoughts on it so far?
I think it is a thing. I think for certain, the pandemic literally isolated a lot of us and made us think about certain.
So we're talking about the COVID pandemic here, right?
Yeah. So the COVID pandemic, I'd say it's gotten worse since then. Although I know some places are saying that it's been going on since the 2010. I think loneliness has always been an issue. Yeah. I don't think it's ever literally just been. I can't think of a single time in history where everyone was happy all the time. Obviously people get isolated, and whether that's just because they were literally in a time when they couldn't afford to go out, or it could be enforced loneliness or lack of transport links, or just kind of being maybe ostracized slightly from society for, I don't know, certain behaviors. I don't know. There's a lot that's gone on. I'm not saying this right. Loneliness isn't a new thing, but I can understand why it would have gotten worse.
Yeah. So let's start with the simple stuff, right? I like to use analogies to explain things like this, right? Have you got an analogy that you could use to explain what loneliness is?
Loneliness, I'd say, is the long-term emotional effect of a unfulfilled desire for company.
Very, very good. I think that's fantastic. I like to say something along the lines of, it's not just being alone, it's the ache of disconnection, even in a crowd. And it's hitting us harder now with endless info and screens.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't. The fact that we can't. I know there's lots of different types of loneliness as well. For some people, you can be in a room, and if your headspace is in the wrong place, you will feel alone even though you're physically not.
Yeah. I remember when I was 16 years old, I lived in supported housing in a YMCA in Southend. And during that time, I had loads of people come and go from my room all the time. But I had a little book that I used to write quotes, like how I was feeling at that time, like just quotes. And one of the quotes that I wrote was, "There's 8 billion people on this planet and I feel alone."
Mm.
And it's a saying that has stuck with me throughout my entire life. Another one that I wrote was, "Why do I feel like a bystander in my own life?" And
I mean,
it's,
that seriously kind of makes you even wonder if you did you just feel disconnected from your own words and actions, or did you feel like you had no say and that your choices had no consequence on
yeah, I
what
just
was
felt
going on
like
in your life?
I just felt like my life was happening and I wasn't part of it. I was just watching,
Yeah.
you know? So obviously we're going to explore why society's setup feeds into this sense of loneliness. Then I'm going to try and share some stories. Some might hit home, a bit close to home, but I do want to also share potential ways to fight back against this,
Well, that's always good to hear.
as we get through it. But I suppose let's start with, what's your take on loneliness? How has it affected you in your life? Like how in the way society is at the moment, what kind of influences have you felt that have added into this feeling of loneliness in the world?
I think it's because there's loneliness and then there's the feeling of being alone. So I'd say I'm more insecure than I am lonely. Luckily, I've over the years, I will admit, when I went to uni, I felt incredibly lonely, despite calling a friend of mine every week, despite doing my best to be in contact with my brother, and yeah, despite kind of getting involved with clubs, getting involved with church and stuff. Um, I'll admit the first year was the most difficult. Loneliness wise, I guess growing up, I lived in a village, and you know what? If I had been smart about it, I could have gotten out. Like I could have, yeah, I might have had to wait a couple of hours for a bus, but I could have done it.
Yeah, yeah.
But just I was lonely, I was insecure, and even though looking back, I physically could have, gone into Tunbridge, gone into Sevenoak, could have done things. A large part of me didn't want to because I was genuinely scared, like
Yeah.
just scared of people.
And I think fear is such a large part of what feeds into loneliness, isn't it? I mean, insecurity itself is an element of fear, isn't it? It's fear of how you are perceived. It's
Oh,
fear of
absolutely.
not being good enough. Anxiety is fear of what's to come, of what could happen. And and depression is fear of what you've lost, of the past, of all of that. Fear is just such a big element in the world where we are. And I think it feeds so heavily into that sense of, like you said, that sense of insecurity, that sense of isolation. Um, let's talk some numbers for a moment, right? So, do you know how many? Um, do you know how many uh, people? What the percentage of the world's population experiences loneliness? And this is
Like
the entire
the
population.
entire world. Okay, so I actually think that would make things lower because there's a lot of people who may not have been reached by the survey, but also I think a lot of people. I hate to say it, but you assume those in uh, tribal communities don't get lonely, whereas surely they do. But it is an assumption that I have.
I mean, when we get further through the podcast and we talk about triggers and causes, you might understand why tribal communities experience less loneliness. But for now, let's stick to the statistics that we're working on.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to guess 35%, Nick. Sorry for
35?
holding things up there.
No, you're all good. You're all good. Global population is actually at 16%, right?
That
Which
low?
is surprising. However, as you said, when you tally in children, adults, elderly, and the different communities that we have around the world, that's actually still quite a high number. Bear in mind, it's linked to over 871,000 deaths per year. That's roughly 100 deaths per hour from isolation-related causes.
Oh dear.
Do you know it actually rivals smoking for early death?
Okay. That's
It
terrifying.
increases the risk of heart disease by 29%.
Oh dear.
It's something that you don't attribute to heart disease, right? But your well-being, your sense of well-being will feed into how your body reacts to alien entities entering it and respond to infection and things like that. So you being isolated makes you less willing and less able to survive.
Mm.
So around 33% of all adults worldwide report feeling lonely at least sometimes. It's 1/3 of the adult population.
It's huge.
If we look at the rest of the population, the elderly, obviously that's going to be quite high.
That's going to be huge.
Globally, around 12% report frequent loneliness, but it hits about 30%. 1 in 4 seniors worldwide feel alone or isolated all the time. Now, I'm hugely concerned about the next numbers because it's to do with the young, and if they start this way, things will only get worse. But teenagers and young adults, this is 13 to 29, between 17 and 21% globally feel lonely. 13 to 17-year-olds is 15 to 18, sorry, is 1 in 5. It's 20.9% for 13 to 17-year-olds. 1 in 5 teenagers feel lonely. Between 15 and 18, it goes up to 25%. And between the ages of 19 to 29, it gets to around about 1 in 3 young adults feel lonely or isolated.
Is that all the time, did you say?
Daily loneliness. 63% of that 1 in 3 people link it to anxiety or depression, this sense of fear in the community.
Yeah.
I genuinely think it's terrifying how the youngest, supposedly the most connected generation, feels the most isolated. And I really do think that social media is the reason for that.
Do you feel that it's because of the fake connection? Because it's...
Yeah. So one of the biggest causes of isolation is a lack of meaningful connection. You mentioned it yourself earlier on in the podcast. Yeah. It's that sense of no depth to your connection, just surface level interaction. Social media, it breeds this sense of surface level interaction. It's like standing in a hall of mirrors. Everybody is just a sheet of glass. That's all you see. What you don't see is what's behind their eyes, what's going on inside their mind. How many times just in your life can you remember posting something on social media as almost like a cry for help? And what you get is a thumbs up or a love heart, but nobody calls you. Nobody comes round to see you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can think of all the times that people have asked me a question, and I've responded with just a thumbs up on their message, just because there's not anything I can do or say in that situation, but I want them to know that I've seen their message and that I've read it, but I'm aware that that's an inadequate response.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
So society's influences are like invisible currents pulling us apart. And the information abundance that we're in, it floods us, but it leaves us thirsty for real connections, right?
Yeah.
Being able to get information at the touch of a button. It's not just information that you're getting, it's misinformation. Misinformation is another important trigger to this sense of helplessness. So let's talk about some themes. Obviously, the information abundance, right? Interconnectivity all around the world. You can get news from like America. You can get news from bloody Cambodia. And imagine, right, your brain is a sponge and it soaks up all that bad news, wars, disasters, climate crises, and it makes us feel responsible for fixing everything. But what power do you really have to fix any of it? See, the human brain, it's not designed to deal with problems that it can't fix. And when it is presented with issues that are larger than its control, it will resolve back into this sense of isolation, powerlessness, helplessness. How many times have you heard that you're turning the light off or you're turning the tap off or only having a shower and not having a bath can have an impact on climate change?
I mean, I'm told a fair amount, but
What's
it's
the
not.
reality? Honestly, speaking frankly about what your impact could be on that.
Okay, so realistically, unfortunately, at, I've, mm, in my early 20s, I worked for a pub which went out of business. And something they used to do was, rather than pay for someone to take their recycling away, is they'd wait until there weren't too many customers around, and they'd burn it, like huge piles, huge, absolute massive bonfires, and they'd do that every, I suppose every month or so. I'm really glad I didn't work there for very long, that I never had to do it, and that I wasn't directly responsible for that. But it did undermine. My mum's a good person, and she cares a lot about the environment, and she um, does her best to recycle like as much as she possibly can. But it does make it. It does.
It
Yeah,
makes
it does.
your
It
efforts feel meaningless.
exactly. Like, and then when whenever I've worked at any big company, just the wastage is huge.
Wastage, absolutely. I worked for Tesco, and
Mm.
at the end of the day, the amount of food, fresh food, that would just be binned. The amount of times I have seen adverts on TV telling us how important it is to turn our lights off. And yet, this Tesco, huge shop, shuts at 10 o'clock of a night time. Did they turn any of their lights off?
No, did they have people literally still shelf stacking all throughout the night?
No,
Oh,
no. We would have an hour until 11 o'clock. The shop would shut at 10. We'd have an hour until 11 o'clock to stack the rest of the shelves, then everybody would go home.
Wow.
And they would leave their lights on because you can't advertise stock that nobody can see. That's their policy. So you tell me how me turning my light off affects the globe. But do you know how we can turn that one instance, that example, into a sense of feeling like you've done your bit? How can we turn that feeling around and make your choice, your action of turning that light off mean something?
I guess you can hold corporations and like larger stores responsible, but when it comes to the feeling, I mean, I guess you can tell yourself that if you're all doing it together, then it makes a mistake.
And the reality is,
makes no difference.
The reality is, in order to get that feeling back, you need to turn it inwards. Why do I turn my lights off?
Because it helps you save money.
There you go. That's all that matters. Turn it into something that you have an impact on. Turn it into something that you have a sense of meaning in. I turn my lights off because it costs me less money if I do so.
Yeah, that's a good
and
way
it
of
has
looking
a
at it.
positive effect on my life because then I have more money to spend on things that I need. And that, I know it's a very simple example, but that's the reality. Don't think too big. Think your community. And what is your real community? How much can you impact? That's your community. Who can you reach? Who can you help? So that's how you turn news and information from being an overload into digestible elements that you can manage. Stop trying to consume global news. It is, in the grand scheme of things, irrelevant. It might well have a ripple effect that affects you as an individual or your community, your direct connections at some point. But the reality is, Donald Trump trying to start World War III because he wants Greenland is going to have, for the foreseeable future, minimal impact on my direct life. So why do I need to know? You see, the thing is, right, how many times have you been in bed on your phone doing what I call doom scrolling, right? Scrolling through headlines, and every time you read something else that's happened, it fires you up. And you get a sense of excitement or anxiety at what impact that could have on you. And then you've got no one to talk that through with. You see, empathy overload is a real thing.
Oh, well, I've heard of compassion fatigue.
Exactly. Compassion fatigue, empathy overload. You're too exhausted. What that does then, you're so worried about everything else that's going on in the world, when one of your friends comes round because they've broken up with their girlfriend, you're too exhausted to help them.
Yeah.
And yet, in the real world, in your real world, that's the connection you needed. That's the one you were looking for when you were doom scrolling. That's what you look for. So social media, hyperconnectivity, right? This is another analogy that I wrote down earlier, right? It's all a hall of mirrors.
Everyone's life looks so shiny, but yours feels flat. Hyperconnected via likes, but there's no deep talks. You know, on average, heavy users browse social media 2 or more hours per day, and they're twice as likely to feel lonely.
And that literally says it all. The more time you spend, like the more time you spend scrolling, the more time you're not talking with a human person, the less time you're looking them in the eye. Like,
but how many times? Like, I've got young daughters, right? And I look at them browsing social media, and then I see my 13-year-old daughter unable to go to school unless she's got her lashes on, she's done her makeup, she's got her skirt right, she's got her shirt right. That's all because social media tells her she has to look a certain way in order to fit in.
In order
At
to be accepted.
13 years old.
No.
I'm
going to be honest with you. It does get ridiculous. Like, I've worked with several youth clubs, and I have had to correct people. Like, I've literally had to correct like 12-year-olds body shaming someone. The annoying thing is they were body shaming this person because they were being ridiculous themselves. But just like, I had to be like, guys, what are you doing? Yeah. She's 12. Like, she's being, you're angry with her because she's said this and acted like this, not.
Yeah, no, exactly. You see, speaking real here, my son, who's 12, and my daughter, who's 13, I have got 2 other daughters, but they're 16 and 17. So we haven't been as heavy-handed, shall we say, with them as we have been with the younger ones. But the 12 and 13-year-old, we have had them delete all social media from their phones. And I will tell you this. We did that. I mean, I'll tell you the story from beginning to end, right? My son, he embraced the change quite willingly. We've allowed them to keep WhatsApp as a means to connect, like via text message, to their friends, but they have to know the people in order to have them saved on their phone. So WhatsApp, fair enough. But Snapchat, TikTok, anything else that allows them to generate or views short form content, unfiltered, submitted by users around the world, we've stopped it. And the shocker for me was my 13-year-old daughter. Because when we told her that social media was going from her phone, and we explained why, she cried. She cried so hard, and she felt like we were attacking her. But we've watched her for months now become more and more isolated, spend more and more time in her bed, on her phone, scrolling along in her room, becoming more and more miserable, more and more zombified. You ask her, what do you want to do today? She goes, I don't know, nothing. And that, like it's almost like she's looking to you to tell her what she should be doing instead of how she's feeling, what she wants to do. Yeah. And we deleted social media from her phone 2 days ago. The last 2 days, it has been night and day with this girl. She is a different child. She is having to come out of her room to make connections with people. She has livened right up, embracing time with her family again, making connections with her friends, going out to see her friends because she can't just get them on Snapchat. And she's a different kid. She is an absolutely different kid. And it's incredible the power that social media has over our young people. And we need to be so careful. Let me tell you a little story. I've got a bigger story that I want to go through later on that is a bit of a narrative. But today on the train, right, I went and got my son today from his mum, and I travel on the train to do so, right? And there was a dad and a mum, an American couple that were obviously traveling with their kids, and they had 3 kids, 2 boys and 1 daughter. Young, maybe the oldest might have been 5 or 6, right? And the dad is on his phone. Mum is browsing Facebook. The kids are getting loud and rarey. And the dad keeps getting angry and snapping. Can you just sit down? Look out the window. And all I could think was, why are these kids unable to sit quietly? Why are they unable to find something to do amongst themselves? And it dawned on me, the reason that they can't is because they have not been shown how. What method, and it's an assumption, I'll admit, but based on their behaviour, I think it's a safe assumption. What method do you think when they're home, mum and dad use to keep the kids quiet?
Is it stick them on their phones?
Stick them on a device or put a screen in front of them. The simple fix, the quick fix. The same as what mum and dad are doing. They need their sense of dopamine. They're on their phone. They're scrolling through. They're getting that quick fix of dopamine. And they're teaching that to their kids. If they taught their kids not to use a screen, to use their brain, to be creative, to find something to do. I mean, it's one thing for a kid to be loud. Kids will be kids. Excited kids are loud. But a happy child is a happy sound. And an unhappy child is a horrible, discordant sound. And these kids were unhappy. And every time that dad said, just sit down, just look out the window, all I could think was, you giving them negative attention when all they want is your attention. All they want is you to spend some time with them. And when I went and got my son, the journey home, I kept that in my mind the whole way home, right? And I've got a sticker book in my bag, which I sometimes grab out, and when like we're on the train, and I give it to my son who's 8, and he sits and does some stickers, and maybe I go on my phone whilst that's going on, or maybe I encourage him to do his puzzles if I'm talking honestly. And today I decided, no, none of that. We're going to be together. We're going to play some games. So we played I Spy out the window. We played, I don't know if you've ever played 21, where you have to say like 1, 2, 3, and then the next person says like between 1 and 3 next numbers. And then but the idea is you can't say the last number. So you have to try and set up the sequence so that the other person ends up having to say 21, right? And then
so that means whoever's like says 17.
Yeah.
What? Oh no! It's no. Okay.
Well, whoever says 16, the next person can say 17, 18, 19. Oh no, yeah, it's 17. It's 17, and then the next person goes 18, 19, 20, and then you're stuck basically. So if you say 17, you're pretty much screwed, right? But it's this. He's 8 years old. He didn't know that setup, right? And we did the same thing.
He's figuring it out. Give him time.
He
Give
did.
him time, right?
He did. Trust me. So
there we go.
We changed it up. We did the alphabet as well. We did the same theory, but with the alphabet. So you're not allowed to say Z. Right? Made it a bit more complicated after he sussed that. So it kept the game going for a bit longer. And
also, he's gonna know his basic numbers and letters pretty well.
Well, and our train got delayed, right? So our train got delayed. We got delayed coming back for an extra hour. So we were on the train for another hour. That's 4 hours we were traveling on the train together for. Right?
Yeah.
And when we got back, I said to him, did you have more fun today than you would have done if I had have given you a sticker book, or we had watched like Dragon Ball on my phone, which is something he enjoys doing with me? And he went, yeah, I had loads of fun. Really enjoyed the journey. And I was like, we were on the train for longer today than we are normally. And he was like, yeah, but it was fun. Really enjoyed it. And I was like, and it just shows. He was quiet. He was meanable. He was a really polite kid. Like, fist bumped the train director when he came by and he bought his ticket off him. Or I bought his ticket off him. It was such a different experience. And I was like, you know what? That is proof in itself that connecting with people directly with like around you, it does make you happy.
Mm.
And that's the important thing to remember.
Yeah. No, that, like, just an honest, real connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, I love the fact that you're able to keep your kid entertained for 4 hours, and that's fantastic. Like,
The thing is, when I got started, it wasn't a slog. It wasn't difficult. It wasn't difficult at all. And not once did he ask me if he could have another method of, like, he was completely happy to just sit there and say I spy out the window. When my son's got this inherent need to win every game that we play. And when we were playing I Spy, he started making these really convoluted spies out of the window, right?
yeah. No, I hear you. Like, what do you see? Oh, it starts with an A. It's an atom of this.
Yeah, that kind of thing, right? And I was like, okay, what I want you to try to do is actually think of things that are visible to you right there and then, apparent as anything, so that I can guess them. And we did that, and I guessed every one, and then I'd guess one, I'd say one, and he'd guess it straight away. But the game went on 10 times longer than he would have done if he had made it more difficult, so that I didn't want to play anymore. And he realised that it's not about getting something that they don't guess. It's about it being fun. And in order for something to be fun, you need to be winning at it. And that's both of you need to be winning at it. And that keeps the excitement up. It keeps you wanting to keep playing.
Because you're both winning in your own way. Yeah.
So there is another story that I wanted to go into, but this is something that I kind of wrote, and you have to go with me here because I've just written some like talking points, and then I was going to use a bit of creativity to try and go through it as we go, right? But let's talk about Jamie, right? 25-year-old remote worker, lives isolated, works from home.
Okay, absolute disaster path, but let's keep going. Sorry.
But there's so many people now that work from home. I work from home. Yeah? First thing they wake up to, they grab their phone. They can see they've got notifications. They've got notifications of a news alert, something crazy's happened in America, shock horror. And that immediately, it's like waking up and stubbing your toe, right? You know, if you stub your toe when you first wake up, you know you're going to have a crap day. Then they start scrolling Instagram. They get that dopamine fix before they get out of bed. They're scrolling, respond to a couple of messages, and then they get out of bed. They go to work, right? And at work, they're met by their friends, their colleagues, and they're like talking about, did you see their Snapchat the other day? Did you see this person, that person? This guy is really popular, always surrounded by loads of people, right? He's got loads of followers on social media. Loads of people really like this guy, right? And they're all so worried about what's he going to say to do next? What's he going to suggest? And he's like, well, what should I get them wearing next? How shall I get them to have their hair? And the thing that people always say about this guy is he's always laughing. He's always so happy. He's always laughing.
Mm.
And he works all day. And then he goes, meets his friends for drinks, and they're at the pub and they're surrounded by loads of people, and his phone's going off and he's constantly checking his phone and talking to people, and people are always just talking at him, not really talking about him, talking to him, engaging in conversation, because nobody knows how to now, right? You just talk about you. You talk at people. You don't actively listen to what they've got to say. So everybody just gives their bit, and then somebody else gives their bit. Somebody else gives their bit. But no one person actually listens to what anybody else has to say. It's more about what you've got to say. It gets to the end of the night, and he goes home, opens the door at home, goes in, turns the lights on, dark, cold house, sits on the sofa, picks up his phone. One of his mates, whilst they were out, saw his ex-girlfriend. He's hooked up with his ex-girlfriend. Pang.
Oh, shit.
Any reason why he should feel that way, but no, there it is. All the more justification, the reason the walls start closing in, right?
Mm.
Sense of coldness in his house gets colder. All the shadows seem to be creeping in around him. He starts to hyperventilate. For all intents and purposes, to everybody else, there's no reason why this guy should be sad. No reason why this guy should feel alone.
Yeah.
He hasn't got anybody he can really call to talk to about how he's feeling. And yet he's connected to so many different people. Feels so hollow. So he decides he's going to go for a walk. Needs to get out of the house.
Yeah.
Eyes still red and puffy from where he's been crying. And on his way down these stairs, as he's leaving his flat, one of his neighbour opens his door, taking a bin bag out. And they look at him and they see that his eyes are red and puffy, and they go, "You're right." And he stops. He thinks. And he goes, for the first time, probably in a long time, honestly, No, I don't think I am all right. And this person, his neighbour, goes, "Come in, mate, have a cup of tea." And he goes into this house, and he sits down with this person. And he just starts talking about how he's feeling. And this person just sits and listens. And the more he talks, it's like breaking the walls of a dam. Everything just starts pouring out. And he starts to feel not sad, but relieved. And he's looking at this person he's never even thought of speaking to before, never really taken much notice of. And they are looking at him like nobody's looked at him in so long. Like they're seeing him. and they're hearing him. And he realizes at that point, followers don't mean anything. The people he surrounded himself with, it's pointless if those people, you're not connected to them.
Yeah.
If you can't tell them how you feel for fear of how they might respond, if you can't listen to how, if they don't feel safe enough to talk to you about how they feel, because the most powerful thing about being connected to people is that you can expose your flaws, you can expose your vulnerabilities, and instead of judgment, what you get from them is love, support, an embrace, something that makes you feel human again. That is the most important thing to remember. Something that so many people, all of us, I think, at some point, have forgotten. Your phone, your social media account, the friends list on Facebook, it's nothing compared to a cup of tea and a chat with a real person. Let's bring back that. So how? How do we change?
Is that is that the start
Yeah, no,
of a sentence, or is that
was
a genuine question?
That was a
Okay,
question.
cool.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to make sure, because
What kind of things could we be doing to?
well, I'll just go through the stuff that I do, because I was lonely and I don't feel I am anymore. So the first thing is, you've got to, in a way, prepare yourself. So you've got to understand that sometimes you're going to get it wrong, and you're going to share stuff and it's not necessarily going to go down well. And I don't mean that as in an old doom and gloom, but what I'm saying is,
Be
if you
kind to
fuck up,
yourself.
if you fudge up, that's normal.
Exactly.
It's normal to tell a joke and not have people
go
laugh.
down like a lead balloon.
Yeah, it's normal to try and offer someone some encouragement, but rather than encouraging them, you've either got your wording wrong and you've brought them down a level, or you've annoyed them.
Yeah,
That's also normal. I know that's a weird
you're not
thing to say.
always going to get it right.
Yeah, like this idea, this something that social media does, which I really don't like, is it always, because of the way the algorithm works, you always see like the most talented, the most this, the most that, the most clicked on.
It makes you feel so inadequate, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, you're going to tell a dad joke and they're either not going to get it or they're going to take offense.
I tell the
and
best
that's
jokes.
okay.
Mate. I'll be honest, I tell the best jokes, and my entire household just look at me with a blank stare. And I'm like, I'm wasted on you people. Seriously, I am wasted on you people.
That's it. And that's how you got to be. You got to be like, I am not understood in my own time. Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. Like, it is about accepting that you can't always be right. You can't always be good at what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's fine, you know?
But that's the start of it.
Yeah.
From there, okay, so from there, what I'd do is understand that arguing with people, or not necessarily having their full approval of everything that you do, doesn't mean that they don't care about you, and isn't necessarily a rejection. Like, people have been disagreeing since the beginning of time, and they're going to continue to disagree. Like, a book I really need to read, I think is called something Ada's The Courage to Be Disliked.
My daughter's got that book.
Yeah. So you know that, like, it's important to kind of just understand that you're not going to, you know, if you hit it off with people, brilliant, but you're not always going to. Right. Sorry. Now that I've got that negative stuff out of the way.
No, you're right. You're right. Ricky Gervais actually says it's normal to be offended. Just because you're offended, though, it doesn't mean you're right.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to say things that are going to rub you up the wrong way. That's life. But you know what? With all due respect, I didn't say it to offend you. You chose at that point to take my words as offence. That's on you. I'm not going to take that, and I'm not going to have you put that back on me. That's yours. Because I wouldn't, this whole, like, I'm going to step closely to the line here, but I'm going to speak frankly. Woke culture is a real pain point of mine, because people seem to think that offence is justification for making someone change. But that's not. That's not the truth. Truth is, offence shows that you have boundaries and morals that don't align with someone else. We are all individual people. We're allowed to be different. We're allowed to have strong opposing feelings. That's fine. Just because I walked up to you, a person who was born male, and said, "Good morning, sir," does not mean, because you chose to call yourself a different pronoun, that I attacked you. I didn't get that wrong. Use your words and communicate my wrongdoing, for lack of a better term, in a way that says, "I appreciate you weren't trying to offend me, but I don't call myself sir. I call myself madam." And I will say, "Thank you for enlightening me. I wouldn't have meant to cause any offence, madam." Don't throw it back at me.
Have you had people throw it back at you?
I was just using that as an example because it's a very plain example, but it's the same thing, right?
Yeah, no, I know that I've made mistakes and people haven't said anything, but I have wanted to apologise afterwards, and I know that I've gotten it wrong.
The point is, if you educate me in a way that points my flaws out while accepting that I didn't know that in the first place, so how could I get it right? I will do everything I can to make sure it doesn't happen again. But if you tell me that I am offensive and attack me because you took offence, what you'll get from me is a defence. And you don't want me when I get defensive. Because I will not take that feeling that you're trying to give back to me. I will give it back to you. Take responsibility and understand that everybody has their own way of being, their own thinking, and it doesn't always have to be the same as yours.
Yeah, understandable. Like, completely. I think when we talk going from that place of responsibility, and it's kind of taking it in a different direction here, but once you know that certain things are on you, then I'd recommend the way to solve loneliness is to clearly communicate your points. Do your best not to get emotional or find thought patterns or kind of get rid of thought patterns that make you feel emotional, like you've talked about people taking offense. And then, I hate to say it, just go out and reach out to people. Like, I'm not saying you bother the same people all the time and you don't
No.
message the same people time after time after time, but what you do is you message people.
You build connections.
You build a connection.
You make contact with people.
You make contact, you make plans, you maybe make reoccurring plans. It doesn't have to be a reoccurring plan, but it can be. I'll be honest with you, I keep myself busy because I struggle with loneliness, but at the moment, I'm not alone at all. Like, I go to clubs and play X-Wing miniatures. Doesn't mean I'm always going to get on with my opponent. I definitely don't always win. I lose a lot, and I don't always get it right. Like, sometimes I'll try a bit of banter or something with my opponent, and they just either won't get it or I'm getting it wrong. But I keep on trying. Like, I by no means get on with everyone at my church, but you keep on trying, you keep on finding that common ground, you keep on trying to talk to people and be genuine. I guess I'll be honest with you, I'm a bit too much in a rush nowadays, so maybe I am getting that wrong recently, but it also means that
The other aside to that is that it's okay if you just don't get on with people. That's fine too. It doesn't mean that person's a horrible person. You just don't get on with them. And you can try your damnedest to find similarities and likes and dislikes, but sometimes that person is just not your person. That's fine.
Yeah.
Respect them. Let them go their own way. Don't put yourself under an immense unnecessary pressure to try and change yourself to fit with what they want. You don't have to be friends with everyone. You don't have to be connected to everyone. It's important that you have meaningful connections. And in order to have meaningful connections, you have to be connected with that person in a way that makes sense to you and has resonance with you. You all right? Would you agree?
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
And it's important as well, let's all just take a step back from social media for a start, right? I'm not saying to everybody, stop with social media, right? It's such a big tool in society that to try and stop it would be ridiculous. But let's not have such an incredible dependence on it, right? Limit your intake. And another thing, problem solve without getting your phone out your pocket. Just try once a week to fix a problem without Googling it. Use your creativity. Get that sense of fulfillment from resolving a problem on your own. And give yourself that sense of purpose, that sense of experience and fulfillment back. Because you can fix problems all day long by Googling it, but you didn't fix that. Someone over in Montauk did. And they shared it online and you read it and did the same thing as them. You didn't find your way. So it feels hollow. ultimately, these changes start small. Don't revolutionize your life overnight, because you will get sick. We are all addicted to this lifestyle to some degree. Some a lot more than others. And as with all addictions, giving them up will make you feel worse for a while. But I wholeheartedly believe that withdrawing from my phone is going to make me better over time. Disconnecting from everybody is going to make the relationships that I have more fulfilling, more valuable, and make me feel less lonely and less isolated.
Yep. Yeah. Completely agree.
How did you, like, obviously use, I mean, I don't want to go too personal here, but you said that you were quite a lonely person.
Well, growing up, I had anxiety. My autism was undiagnosed, so I just felt like something was wrong with me. I didn't understand people. I wanted approval and connection, but I just didn't get it at all. Just plain old didn't get it, you know? Yeah, I'm trying to think of the right way of putting it, but there isn't another way to put it. I just didn't get it, didn't really understand, didn't kind of get that teenagers act the way that they do because everybody's scared.
And how did you learn that?
Well, it's just slowly you learn it over time, and you see it in media, and you see it when you're older and you're watching the younger generation interact with each other and seeing how everybody's just kind of clambering over each other for approval, for status, to be the person who says the sarcastic thing and then walks away.
You do that thing, right? Like, you ever do that thing where you get angry at the way that people behave, right? And then one day you catch yourself doing it. And you're like,
oh,
wait,
absolutely.
I've done that for years.
3 days. 3 days is normally the time that it will take me to catch myself doing the exact thing that I've kind of condemned someone else for doing in my mind. Sorry, it's not a good thing to admit, but it is. But it is a thing.
The reason I brought it up is because I've done it too, right? And what I'm saying is, it's completely normal, right? It's completely normal to have this sense of, I don't like that about that. I don't like that person doing that thing. And actually, you do it yourself, mate. So stop looking out there and look in here. Stop getting angry at, like, I thought about it in a way today, right? I went to cross the road and a car just turned, right? And I had that initial anger spat at the car for just turning.
Yeah.
And then I went, what control have I got over what they're doing? Why am I getting angry that they turned? I should be happy that I realised.
Yeah.
Why can I not do that? If somebody doesn't move out your way, move out theirs. Like, not everybody it's not about them. It's not
impossible. Yeah.
It's not about them. Like, sometimes the change has to come from you for you to be happy. The world isn't going to change. The only person who can change for you is you. And as difficult as it can be, accepting that and embracing that probably will make you a happier person. You know?
Yeah,
Thank
I can
you
get
very
behind that.
much for taking the time to discuss this serious subject, bit more of a deep subject than, I mean, this is coming from the two of us, where we've discussed Israel and Palestine and things like that, right? But I do genuinely feel like this was a bit of a deeper subject, and
Well, it's
I really
definitely more of an emotional one for sure.
I really appreciate you sharing and taking part in this conversation with us.
Well, if that was to me and not to our listeners, then you're very welcome. I do struggle with, I sometimes get it wrong, so
No,
it's all
absolutely.
good.
And remember, everybody, and this is to the listeners, it's okay to get it wrong. Absolutely fine to get it wrong. Be kind to yourselves, guys. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you all so much for listening today. Thanks, James, for taking part. It's a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me as well.